I'm not a quitter. I'm not a guy who walks away from something that he starts. I always.
Magic Johnson is 65 years old and still the face of basketball's golden age. The man who turned fast breaks into theater and leadership into art hasn't changed much. That same voice, that same confidence, and that unmistakable drive still define him. When people talk about greatness, they still measure it against one name, Magic. He led the Lakers to 5 championships, won 3 MVP awards, and reached 9 NBA Finals, but numbers never told his full story. What made Magic different was control. On the court, he didn't just run the game, he commanded it. He saw angles before anyone else, turned chaos into rhythm, and made passing look like poetry. Every move carried intention. Every smile masked calculation. That was the paradox of Magic Johnson's showmanship on the surface steel underneath. In the 1,980 seconds, basketball wasn't global yet. It was an American show, and Magic Johnson was its headliner. Inside the Forum, the lights reflected off the purple and gold, and the game felt larger than life. Showtime wasn't a nickname, it was a revolution. It changed how people watched basketball, how teams were built, and how stars carried themselves. Magic didn't just make plays, he made moments. But what truly defined him was his standard. He respected talent, but he respected excellence even more. The kind that demanded everything from your body and mind. He never admired easily. To earn Magic's respect, you had to push him, challenge him, and meet him at the height of competition. He's been retired for decades, but his influence still echoes in every great point guard who studies the floor like a chessboard. Because long before analytics and highlight reels, Magic Johnson proved one timeless truth: real greatness is felt, not calculated. To understand Magic Johnson, you have to understand the era that built him. The late 70s had left the NBA in chaos, low ratings, fading stars, and a league desperate for identity. Then came a rookie from Michigan State who played point guard like no one ever had before. 6'9", fearless and smiling as he destroyed defenses. Magic didn't just change the Lakers, he changed the entire rhythm of the sport. The Showtime Lakers weren't just a team, they were a movement. They played fast, they played together, and they played with joy. Every pass meant trust. Every sprint down the floor meant connection. And in the middle of it all was Magic orchestrating everything with the calm of a veteran and the flair of a performer. His vision was genius, his leadership natural, his energy contagious. When he lifted the ball above his head, the whole arena seemed to hold its breath. But beneath the fun and flash was discipline. Magic demanded precision. He studied film, corrected teammates, and carried the weight of a franchise that expected greatness every night. He believed that basketball at its core was about respect for teammates, for the game, and for the challenge of competition itself. To earn his admiration, it wasn't enough to score or to win. You had to play the right way. Intelligence, consistency, unselfishness, that was what Magic valued most. He admired players who made the game better, not just themselves. And so, after decades of battles, memories, and championships, the man who defined Showtime looks back at the few who truly earned his respect. And today we count down the 5 players Magic Johnson admired the most. Number 5. Dennis Johnson, the man who made defense feel personal. To Magic Johnson, DJ was never just another opponent from Boston. He was the wall you had to break before you could win. Shorter, quieter, and far less celebrated than the stars of his era, Dennis Johnson built his legacy on grit, timing, and intelligence. Magic often said DJ was the toughest perimeter defender he ever faced, and coming from him, that meant something. When the Lakers met the Celtics in the 1984 Finals, the rivalry between the two franchises was already fierce. But for Magic, it was DJ who defined that battle. Possession after possession. Dennis would press full court, shadowing every dribble, cutting off passing lanes, forcing Magic to work for every inch. He didn't talk. He didn't posture. He just stayed in front of you all night long. It wasn't glamorous, but it was relentless. And for Magic, that was the highest form of respect, effort without ego. The 1984 Finals became a nightmare for Los Angeles. The Lakers lost in 7, and Magic took the blame. But years later, when he looked back, he admitted that Boston's edge came largely from one man, Dennis Johnson. He controlled the tempo, Magic once said. He made you think. You couldn't just play against him. You had to solve him. What separated DJ from others wasn't athleticism or flash. It was his understanding of timing. He anticipated, reacted, and punished hesitation. His defense wasn't just physical, it was psychological. He read Magic's eyes like a book, and when Boston needed a fence, he delivered 2 hitting clutch jumpers, running the break, and proving he was far more than a role player. By the time the Lakers got their revenge in 1985, the respect between the two guards had already been sealed. They never needed to say it aloud. When Magic looked across the court and saw number 3 in green, he knew what was coming. 48 minutes of pressure, no shortcuts, no favors. After his retirement, Magic often mentioned DJ among the most underrated players of all time. He played the game the right way, he said. You didn't have to tell him twice. He just showed up and competed. That, to Magic, was the essence of greatness, not headlines or highlights, but dependability. Dennis Johnson passed away in 2007, far too soon, but his influence still lingers in every guard who values defense as much as scoring. Magic never forgot him, because true respect isn't built on friendship, it's built on battle. And for Magic Johnson, Dennis Johnson was the first name that reminded him that sometimes respect comes from those who beat you first. Number 4, Julius Erving, the man who made basketball beautiful. Long before Magic brought Showtime to Los Angeles, there was Dr. J gliding through the air with elegance no one had ever seen. For Magic Johnson, he wasn't just a player. He was a blueprint. The first time Magic watched him play, he saw what the game could be: creative, fearless, and full of soul. When Magic entered the league in 1979, Dr. J was already an established superstar. The afro, the grace, the effortless dunks, he looked like poetry in motion. But what truly impressed Magic wasn't the highlights. It was the professionalism. Dr. J carried himself like a statesman, treating the game and everyone in it with dignity. Before there was, Michael Magic would later say, there was Doc. Their paths crossed in the early 80s, when the Lakers and the Philadelphia 76ers ruled opposite coasts. Every matchup felt like a stage production, Magic's flash against Erving's elegance. When they met in the 1980 finals, it was student versus master. Magic was just a rookie, then thrust into the spotlight after Kareem's injury. He played every position, scored 42 points in Game 6, and clinched his first title. Yet even in victory, his respect for Dr. J only deepened. He was gracious in defeat, Magic recalled. He showed me how a true legend handles losing. Off the court, Erving became a mentor. He offered advice, not about tactics or fame, but about balance, how to carry success without arrogance, how to let joy guide your game. Magic absorbed those lessons and built his own brand of leadership around them. The confidence, the composure, the smile, those were Magic's, but the grace came straight from Dr. J's example. When the two shared the court during All-Star weekends, there was always mutual respect. Magic once joked that he tried to copy Erving's dunks, but never got the hang of it. That's because it wasn't about the dunk, Erving told him. It was about the feeling. That line stayed with Magic forever, proof that basketball at its highest level was art born from emotion. Years later, when Magic was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he singled out Julius Erving as one of the few who made him believe he could be great. For him, Dr. J represented something bigger than stats or trophies. He was elegance with purpose, grace under pressure, and proof that being admired meant more than being feared. So when Magic looks back at the players who shaped his understanding of greatness, Julius Erving stands tall not because of the points he scored, but because of the way he carried the game. He didn't just play basketball, he elevated it. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the captain. The man who showed Magic Johnson that leadership isn't about volume, it's about presence. When Magic joined the Lakers in 1979, he was pure energy, all smiles, charisma, and youth. Kareem was the opposite, reserved, cerebral, already a legend. 6 MVPs, a skyhook no one could block, and an aura that demanded respect. At first, their worlds didn't fit. Magic was the extrovert who thrived on rhythm. Kareem was the philosopher who thrived on silence. But once the games began, Magic realized what made the captain great discipline. Kareem prepared for every game like an engineer building something precise. No wasted motion, no drama, just excellence, repeated night after night. Then came the 1,980 finals. Kareem went down with an ankle injury in Game 5, and the rookie had to fill the void. Magic moved to center, scored 42 points, and won the title, but when the celebration started, he pointed back to Los Angeles. "We did it for Kareem." That line told you everything about their bond. Over the next decade, their partnership became one of the strongest in NBA history. Magic learned to slow the game down, to think 2 plays ahead to balance showtime with structure. Kareem's calm steadied Magic's fire, and together they built a dynasty that defined the 80s. Off the court, Kareem was mentor and mirror. He taught Magic that greatness requires restraint, to lead with intellect, not impulse. The young star, who once played for joy, learned how to play for legacy. When Kareem retired in 1989, Magic said simply, "Every time I passed him the ball, I knew something beautiful would happen." Decades later, Magic still calls him the smartest player I ever met. The skyhook may belong to Kareem, but the foundation of Magic's leadership, the patience, the poise, the respect, all began with the captain. Number 2, Larry Bird, the rival who made Magic Johnson better. Every era needs its balance, and in the 1,980 seconds, that balance was Magic in gold and Bird in green. Their names became inseparable, their battles legendary. Lakers versus Celtics wasn't just a matchup. It was a cultural divide, Hollywood flash against blue-collar grit. Yet behind that contrast was a mutual respect that defined a generation. Magic first faced Bird in the 1979 NCAA championship, Michigan State versus Indiana State. 2 young men from the Midwest, one smiling and electric, the other stone-faced and relentless. Magic won that night, but he never forgot how hard he had to fight for it. That game was the spark of a rivalry that carried into the NBA and changed the league forever. When Bird and Magic entered the pros, the NBA was struggling. Ratings were down, fan interest was fading. Then came their rivalry. Every time the Lakers and Celtics met, America stopped to watch. It wasn't just basketball. It was theater. Bird played with a surgeon's precision, never flashy, but brutally efficient. He studied every weakness, punished every mistake. Magic, with all his flair, had to find new gears just to keep up. Their clashes in the 198, 41985, and 1987 finals became the standard for greatness. In 1984, Bird outplayed him, and the Celtics took the crown. Magic called it the lowest point of his career. But true to his nature, he used that pain as fuel. The next year, he came back sharper, stronger, smarter, and beat Boston in 6 games. When the buzzer sounded, Magic didn't gloat. He just nodded across the court. Bird nodded back. That single glance spoke louder than words respect earned. Away from the cameras, they shared a quiet bond. Both were products of hard work, discipline, and small-town roots. Both understood what it meant to carry a franchise on your shoulders. And both knew that their rivalry made the other immortal. "Larry made me a better man," Magic once said. "He forced me to compete at a level I didn't know existed." Years later, when they filmed commercials together or appeared on stage side by side, the old competitiveness faded, replaced by friendship. But that respect never softened. Bird once said, "Magic was the only guy I feared because he could beat you any way he wanted." For Magic Johnson, Larry Bird was more than a rival. He was a mirror, one that reflected his limits and demanded he break them. Their story wasn't about hate or revenge. It was about 2 men who saved basketball by refusing to let the other win too easily. And when Magic talks about the players he admired most, Bird's name is always near the top. Because respect born from rivalry doesn't fade. It lasts forever. Number 1, MichaelJordan, the man who took the torch and ran with it. For Magic Johnson, admiration didn't come easily, especially for someone who would eventually surpass him. But Jordan was different. He wasn't just another great player, he was the future. And Magic saw that long before the rest of the world did. When Jordan entered the league in 1984, Magic was already the face of basketball. Showtime ruled the West. The Celtics ruled the East. The rookie from North Carolina was just another name on the schedule until the first time Magic faced him. The speed, the hang time, the competitiveness, everything about Jordan screamed relentless. Magic once said, he played every possession like it was the last shot of his life. That was the first sign of respect. Their real connection deepened years later during the early 90s. Magic was nearing the end of his prime while Jordan was ascending into legend. The 1991 NBA Finals became a symbolic handoff between generations, the Lakers' last stand and the Bulls' beginning. Magic played with experience, Jordan with hunger. And when the Bulls finally won in 5 games, Magic didn't hide his admiration. He earned it, he said afterward. He's the best I've ever seen. But their greatest moment together came a year later with the Dream Team. Barcelona, 1992, the greatest collection of basketball talent in history. Magic, the veteran leader. Jordan, the new alpha. During one intense scrimmage, Magic's team took an early lead and started talking. Jordan stayed silent. Then, possession by possession, he dismantled them. Fadeaways, steals, drives, pure dominance. Magic finally dropped the trash talk, looked at him and laughed. "You can have it now." That line marked the moment Magic acknowledged Jordan not just as a rival, but as his successor. Off the court, their respect turned into friendship. They competed but never pretended to be equals. Magic knew what he represented: leadership, joy, and the beauty of team basketball. Jordan represented the next evolution: precision, control, and absolute willpower. They were opposites, yet reflections of the same pursuit: perfection. Years later, when Magic talks about the greats, his tone softens when he reaches Jordan's name. "He turned competition into art," Magic said. "He made winning look inevitable." For a man who had built his entire career on energy, leadership, and vision, that kind of praise wasn't given lightly. To Magic Johnson, Jordan wasn't just the best player he ever faced. He was proof that greatness could evolve, that the game could keep moving forward. And that's why, even decades later, when Magic lists the 5 men he admired most, Michael Jordan stands at the top. Because for Magic, admiration was never about friendship, statistics, or fame. It was about recognizing someone who lived for the same thing he did. That burning obsession to win, to inspire, and to make basketball unforgettable. 5 names, 5 different styles. Yet together they explain who Magic Johnson really was. Dennis Johnson, the quiet defender who showed him that greatness starts with effort. Julius Erving, the gentleman who proved that grace and dominance can live in the same body. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the mentor who taught him patience and discipline. Larry Bird, the rival who brought out his fire. And Michael Jordan, the successor who carried that fire into a new generation. Each of them represented something Magic valued: most toughness, elegance, wisdom, rivalry, and evolution. That was Magic's code. You could entertain the crowd, you could score 100 points, but if you didn't respect the game, he'd never respect you. What made him special wasn't just what he accomplished, but how he recognized greatness in others. For Magic, basketball was never about isolation. It was about connection, the invisible rhythm between teammates, the exchange of respect between opponents, the understanding that everyone chasing excellence is part of the same story. That's why his admiration meant so much. It wasn't casual, it was earned. Looking back now, decades removed from the Showtime lights, Magic still talks about those battles with the same spark in his eyes. He knows what they gave him: lessons in leadership, composure, and humility. And that's the lasting message. Greatness isn't built in solitude. It's shaped by those who challenge and inspire you. Back then, basketball wasn't just a game. It was survival, art, and respect, all at once. So now the question turns to you. Who would make your list of the 5 players you admired the most?